You're listening to Today at Museum of the Bible. These exclusive conversations with authors, scholars, and specialists visiting the museum focus on how they are currently engaging with the Bible in their lives and work.
Welcome to Today at Museum of the Bible. I'm Charlotte Clay.
And I'm Jeff Kloa.
Today we are joined by special guest Flora Karagianni. Flora is the director of the European Center for Byzantine and Post-Byzantine Monuments and the head of the Department of Byzantine Antiquities and Museums in the Ephorate of Antiquities of Thessaloniki. She holds a PhD in Byzantine archaeology. Flora, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me. It's my pleasure and honor to be here.
Well, it's great to have you here, Flora. We met in Thessaloniki last year?
Last September.
Showed us around some of the beautiful sites in Thessaloniki, and now you're here to both bring a manuscript on display and talk about a project for 2025, right? So
Indeed.
Lots of exciting things. But let's start off with Byzantine monuments. So for many Americans, right, Byzantine sounds a little scary, right? So what's a Byzantine monument? Let's start with that. And a post-Byzantine monument.
It's very bad to hear that for Americans, Byzantine monument is something scary. So in the whole world of the East, from the 4th century up to 15th, there is this Byzantine Empire that has been developed. The capital of this empire was Constantinople, today's Istanbul. But a great area around Constantinople, which includes a lot of today's nations like Greece, Balkan Peninsula, Asia, North Africa, were under the jurisdiction of the Byzantine Empire. My country, Greece, was under this jurisdiction for almost 11th centuries.
Wow.
So we are very proud to host in our lands a lot of monuments that have been built from the 4th century to 15th century, and they are called Byzantines because they were really erected within this framework of people living in this empire, which was the continuation of the Hellenistic world. That has been Christianized.
Right.
So the vast majority of the monuments, of the standing monuments in Greece, are Byzantine monuments, mainly ecclesiastical, but secular as well, that is fortifications,
right.
Palaces in some cities, monasteries and churches. I'm really very proud to live in Thessaloniki, which was supposed to be the co-capital of the Byzantine Empire,
Right.
and was in connection with the capital, with Constantinople. Therefore, in our city there are preserved 15 Byzantine churches dated from the 4th to 15th century, plus fortification walls that surrounded the historical city, the city center, and they are all of such a high value that have been included in a World Heritage List of UNESCO. So me, working in the Hellenic Ministry of Culture and especially in the Ephorate of Antiquities of Thessaloniki, I am really responsible for all these monuments in terms of working on every issue they have, if it is related to its restoration, conservation of frescoes, of mosaics, of all these architectural members that are included in these monuments, and they are preserved up to date. Plus, whenever somebody digs in order to build a house, he always, with no exception, finds antiquities under the ground.
Wow.
So we really implement a lot of excavations in the city. As I said, my role as head of the Byzantine department is to supervise these excavations, and whereas the good part of this is the findings,
Right.
that really provide us with a lot of information on the city's infrastructure during all the centuries.
Right.
there is a difficult issue that has to do with how we manage these findings, because in the vast majority they do belong in private fields.
Right.
And there is somebody there who wants to build his house. Right. So whenever he finds antiquities, he stands opposite us and he says, okay, what am I gonna do now? So there are several options regarding to the value of the findings. We are working with architects and conservators and of course with the central ministry, and we either give permission to build his house over the antiquities or to cover some of them and give him a smaller space on the basement of his building. In some extra, cases, the state, let's say, buys the field and makes it archaeological sites. So there is a variety of issues regarding the management. So in our everyday life, we also do this, plus a lot of events hosted in the Byzantine monuments, like exhibitions, exhibitions with ancient material or of Byzantine material or of modern contemporary art, in order to give to the public all this atmosphere that the monuments belong to the city even today, and they are part of our everyday life. So my role personally is a very, very strict one. I really feel very honored to participate, as a state employee and have this role, although sometimes it creates a lot of problem to my life, because you have to answer a lot of things to give solutions on several projects, on several problems that you face during these things. One, of course, very important dimension on this is that they are not only monuments, but they are also alive churches, which means that they are in everyday use from the congregation and the church. Which makes us being aware of the situation that deals that the users face every day. So a lot of questions, a lot of answers, a lot of projects. We run so many projects on the restoration of these monuments at this period of time. We are big teams with architects, civil engineers, conservators, and we are really trying to do our best in order to provide the monument to the next day, to the next generation.
Right. Yeah, they've lasted 1,600 years, 1,700 years, right?
Yes. For example, Demetrius Church, which is the major pilgrimage of the city, has been erected in the 5th century, and up to now it is with a constant religious life.
Wow.
Yes, and we are now working on its management plan. Things are changing every day. Visitors have to visit the monuments, and we have to provide them with all the facilities for their visit, with all the information about what they see and what is the value of what they see. So we are full of work in a way.
Full of work,
This has to do with my role as head of the department in Thessaloniki's F48. On the other hand, I am director of the European Center for Byzantine and Post-Byzantine Monuments. This is a body supervised by the Hellenic Ministry of Culture, and this has to do with the Byzantine heritage abroad, outside Greece. As in our country we have all this know-how on the restoration and the conservation of the Byzantine culture, we are very often asked by other countries to contribute on the restoration or preservation or exhibition of Byzantine stuff or Byzantine monuments that are preserved outside Greece, in the Balkan Peninsula, in the Middle East, in Asia. So we very often implement projects abroad. For example, nowadays we implement projects in Albania, North Macedonia, in Turkey, as well as in Jordan, on the restoration of frescoes, architectural members, and mosaics. We always sign memorandum of understanding with the ministries, and through this memorandum, we collaborate with people there, and we are trying to do our best as Greece to contribute to the preservation and enhancement of the Byzantine culture wherever is preserved. Every country has its own peculiarities, how can I say, as you can understand, challenges everywhere, every time, every day. But I'm really very proud for the work that we are doing.
It's a lot.
But it's a lot, believe me. It's too much.
And you found time to come over to Museum of the Bible in DC, and I know you've been a big part of our newest exhibit on the Hagia Sophia. I wonder if you could tell us a bit about that.
Yes. I was so glad to see this exhibition in your museum. Congratulations on that. For me, being a Byzantinist, Hagia Sophia of Constantinople really is a symbol of an amazing, exquisite civilization, culture that has been developed in so many countries in such a big part of our planet. Hagia Sophia was not just another Byzantine church, it became a symbol, and it still is a symbol, and therefore even today in many places of the world, whenever they build a church that is a seat of a bishopric or a metropolis, they named it after Hagia Sophia. So this is why from the 6th century, when Justinian built Hagia Sophia, up to now in the whole Christian world, there are a lot of Hagia Sophias built, pointing out their relation to the major symbol of Hagia Sophia in Constantinople. So I'm really very glad to see that you present this idea of the radiation, let's say, of Hagia Sophia in the whole world.
All around the world, China,
even
Scotland,
China. China's Hagia Sophia was built in 1907, if I'm not wrong.
That's right.
So it's not a Byzantine monument, but really reflects, and it is a connection with the central of Christianity.
Well, there's Hagia Sophia here in Washington.
Not by accident, as you can understand.
And so those links across faith, right, across culture,
exactly,
showing that continuity and connection. It's a beautiful image, really.
And even in terms of theology, Hagia Sophia means the holy wisdom. The church, which concentrates all the theological meaning of our Christianity, really is centered in the wisdom of God.
And so they're dedicated to that theme, the importance of that, and of course the person of Jesus ultimately. Directly. So they're not just beautiful buildings and impressive, but they're, of course, well, you have a degree in theology as well, right? Does that help you in your archaeological work? Of
course. Because, before I had this degree, I had a totally different aspect of archaeology, because even from our studies we are taught to read the monuments as architectural constructions or as places of art. When you study theology, you understand how everything is connected to each other. All these churches were made in order to serve the liturgy. They were not secular buildings. They were not built in order to become museums or galleries. They were made, and their development in terms of the history of architecture is 100% connected with what they they hosted, and they hosted the Holy Liturgy, which had its own development through the centuries, and that development influenced the development of the ecclesiastical architecture as well. So when I studied theology, I really fulfilled a lot of gaps in my knowledge and in my way of watching the monuments and reading them and studying them. I consider it as a very, very big issue in my knowledge.
Yeah. They're not just important culturally.
Right.
Of course. For example, let me tell you this, and this gives me the opportunity to pass to our collaboration for the exhibition.
Yeah.
Yes. The Byzantine art is not a secular art. It's not a religious art. It was not made to be an art. It was made only to serve as every work of art, every icon, let's say, every depiction of Jesus Christ or of saints were only made, I repeat it, in order to serve as a mean to offer your respect to God, to pray to God.
Worship.
Yes. So if you study what the Holy Fathers wrote about, for example, the light, which is a main issue in our theology, you see how their writings reflected art and how this light is depicted in Byzantine art, what separates it from the Renaissance or for what happened in the same period in the medieval Europe, let's say in the western part of Europe, which has a totally different theology.
Right.
So reading and learning about theology helps you really understand why we have this kind of depictions and all this that really distinguishes Byzantine art with a religious painting of Giotto, let's say.
Right. Yeah, beautiful as it is, it
Yes,
just has a different function.
Of course.
Yeah.
We are not discussing about beauty, we're discussing exactly about the purpose of this. They are not paintings for galleries, they were not paintings in order to decor walls.
Right.
They are, in Greece we use this word, these depictions on the walls are the Bible for those who cannot read. We use that very often. Because through these depictions, they read the history of Jesus Christ, the history of the Bible. They see it visualized in our churches. This is why we have amazing, frescoes coming from the early centuries. And of course, the peak of this was the Paleologan art in the 13th and 14th century.
So you're working with us, Jeff's team, on an exhibit coming in, what is it, Jeff, 2025?
25,
Yeah, all right.
Well, Jeff had this amazing idea to organize an exhibition of Byzantine art here in your prestigious museum. I'm really very, very thrilled about this idea, and I'm really very glad to be a small part of this vision of Jeff. It will be a big challenge to present here in the States, where, as Jeff said earlier, the idea of the Americans on Byzantine is probably totally different than what it is.
Right.
So we will try to reverse it.
It just means complicated to us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Byzantine will just roll off the tongue
Yes.
for everybody.
Yes. Okay, so you will have the opportunity to see that, of course, it was a human empire with all the bad and good things that could happen in terms of the emperor's decision or whatever happened. But it was an empire that really offered so many things in humanity. And since we will have this opportunity to present here some of these icons that are really connected with monasteries, that are connected with sense
Yeah.
of
With the
Christianity.
apostles, right? So Patmos, of course, with John,
Yes,
and
yes.
then Vlatadon with the Apostle Paul.
Yes, imagine these are legendary saints for us. I mean,
yeah, for everybody, right?
and in Greece we have the place where Saint John wrote the
Right.
Apocalypse,
Right.
where Saint Paul passed through our city in Thessaloniki. So from that, in that places, since the sacred character of a place remains and is never lost.
Never lost, yeah.
I can reassure you that in terms of archaeology, all these sacred places from antiquity up to now remain sacred places. In very, very rare cases, we have, let's say, mansions or secular buildings built over the ruins of a church.
Oh, yeah.
Very, very few.
Yeah, right.
To be honest, I don't know even one case,
Yeah.
but let's say a few. So imagine that both these monasteries were built on that places that keep up today all these
I mean, 2,000 years
Yes.
at that
Yeah.
spot.
yes
Yeah, it's
on the
incredible.
spot.
Incredible.
And they all these icons that we will bring come from these places and depict these saints that
Yeah.
passed through these lands.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So the whole idea hopefully will succeed to provide to your visitors with this atmosphere of a sacred places that create sacred objects. That for these objects, the only way they exist is to give you this aspect of sacred. How can I say?
Experience. sacred-
Experience,
yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, we're really looking forward to it. And,
Yeah.
Beautiful icons. We could talk about individual ones,
Yes.
but you'll have to come see them in June of 2025. I think
Yes.
we said,
Yes,
right?
yes,
June
yes.
of 2025. So,
But you can see the Hagia Sophia beautiful exhibition now.
yeah,
Yes.
that's right. Yeah,
Yes,
through-
yes.
Thank you, Charlotte.
Yes.
Yeah, till
Yes.
January 21st. I think, right? Yeah.
And be aware about that Hagia Sophia, unfortunately, in our days has
Yes.
changed again its character.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
changed. His character has been converted to a mosque. Is the
Yeah.
story,
Yes,
right?
yes. Whereas it was an exhibition, a museum.
Yeah. And I heard that it's at risk of damage with just too much foot traffic in it
Yes,
these
yes,
days. Yeah.
yes. There are such discussions that experts should undertake this research because this monument is a standing monument for 15th centuries. We cannot jeopardize that it will be demolished. I mean,
Right.
for any reason
Yeah.
in our days.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a symbol and it is a magnificent
it's
monument.
one of a kind and
Yeah.
will never be duplicated.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, Flora, thanks for your massive amount of work
Yes.
to preserve
Thank you,
and,
thank you.
and make available all this history, these monuments, and
Thank you so much.
uh,
I wish you could all come to Greece and experience
Well, I think
what
I
am I
do
saying.
I look on Facebook and I think all my
Yeah.
friends been in Greece this summer.
Yes,
so,
yes,
you know,
yes.
But off in the islands, they need to go to Thessaloniki. It's a beautiful city, beautiful architecture, good food. It's on the coast. Yeah. So
Yes,
little
I'm glad to hear
commercial,
that
yeah.
because a lot of people know only Athens. So
Yeah.
giving the dimension of Thessaloniki and of this experience of yours for Thessaloniki, it's not me that I'm saying that,
You
Right.
it's
just
you.
live there, right? Yeah.
This provides me with a lot of joy.
Great.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all for listening to Today at Museum of the Bible. Thanks again, Flora, for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Today at Museum of the Bible. Join us again to hear how authors, scholars, and leaders are engaging with the Bible every day. Only on Today at Museum of the Bible.